Hello everyone, I'm Andrew Joseph Keith, and this is my channel where I talk about things that interest me and things that I'm working on. And today we've got a really exciting video. I'm going to be talking about creating assets as artists, building revenue streams, those types of things. Let's get into it. So before we get into the specifics of the asset that I created, the ebook, I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of creating multiple sources of revenue and having some assets. Just a simple definition is anything that pays you money, that's an asset. And so a lot of people think, maybe their home is an asset. I don't really see the home in the asset because it doesn't actually pay you money. It doesn't give you cash. It appreciates in value, so it goes up in value over time, but it doesn't pay you anything monthly. Usually you have to pay utilities to keep it up. You have to pay the mortgage. And so all of those things makes that so that it's not really an asset, it's a liability in most cases, unless you're using it as a way to make money. Maybe you have a way to rent out part of the home. You fix up the home and then you sell it and you build money that way, and so it can be an asset. But for most people, the home's not an asset. It's an expense, it's a liability. And then we all have expenses. Those are things that we have to pay money towards, and assets are things that pay us money. And so those include, real estate if we own that, intellectual property, which is what I'm going to be talking about, stocks, bonds, those types of things, investments, things that pay you money. Most artists and most people in general are really lacking a good financial understanding of what is important to focus on when it comes to finances and how to cut expenses as well as how to build income. And that's something that I am still struggling with. And so that's why I'm working on projects like this. I'm pretty good at not spending money, but I need to learn to get better at being more aggressive with earning money and making money and creating products and services that people are willing to pay for and learning to sell those services better. And so I'm working on that. Hopefully this will encourage you guys to create those types of assets and to work on that as well. So the asset that I created, it's called an artist's X-ray vision, the male figure. I'm going to talk a little bit about my process so that you guys can see how easy it can be to get started. I'm a figurative artist, and so really interested in the human figure, and I wanted to give myself something to kind of force myself to learn a little bit more about the figure. And so I thought, well, wouldn't it be a cool concept if I like to think about it as tinted glasses on that allows you to see like an artist. And so maybe there's one color and it allows you to see gesture, and then there's another color and it allows you to see the bone structure of the pose that you're doing. And you put on another lens and it allows you to see the plumb lines that go straight up and down to line things up. And so all of these different concepts, and I was like, well, wouldn't it be cool if you just took one of those at a time and just did some drawings over some reference images so that people could see like, oh, this is what the artist is thinking about when he's drawing gesture, or this is what he's thinking about when he's checking proportions or the bone structure or whatever, the anatomy, the surface forms when I'm drawing or sculpting. I wanted to be able to show people this is how an artist sees things. And once you're able to see things like an artist, things that were once invisible to you, they come into your mind and you're able to observe them and notice them and represent them better in your artwork. So that was kind of the concept behind it. I wasn't able to go out and hire a model. I didn't have a lot of money to get started, and so I started just on my iPhone. I took reference photos of myself. So these aren't nude, so don't get excited. It was just, I had like a Speedo on, and I try to, keep in decent shape. I'm not in the best shape, but hopefully, it's okay as reference photos for most artistic purposes. I took references of myself, many angles, close-ups of my hands, of my face, of my legs, of the feet, so that I could go over each area of the body and be more specific and kind of study that area and do some drawings to kind of show the viewer, the person that purchased this book, some helpful symbols and things to keep in mind to help them as they're working from other references or using these references. I started for very cheap, just with my iPhone, which I already had, and reference photos that I took of myself. And so there was really not a lot of investment that had to go in. Later on, I did purchase an iPad with the Apple Pencil just to be able to draw a little bit easier. And then I also use that on the online course, which is another asset, a source of income that I've been working on. And I got another course in the works after that. So that was kind of an expense that's taken away some of the profit from that ebook, but it was a great experience. And so I like to think of building these assets, think of it as an assignment. Just think of it as a homework project and give it to yourself, something that you can do, something that you can create that would be of value to somebody else and that will teach you as you do it. An assignment at school, especially if it's a college assignment, you pay to do that assignment. But if you're able to build something that's an asset and you consider it an assignment, then you're getting paid to learn about something. You're getting paid to do something that you enjoy. And so I like looking at it that way. That's one of the great things while I've been building the Figure Sculpting Fundamentals course with Proco, that's on Proco. I've really learned a lot as I've been doing it. I've learned more than I would if I hadn't done that and if I'd just gone out and tried to learn as much as I could, because I wouldn't be motivated to really dive in deep on these subjects. And the ebook, that was the same concept for an artist's X-ray vision. The reason that I'm talking about it now is because I just started the process for my next ebook, which will be on the female figure. And now I still don't want to allocate the resources to hire a model and take all the reference photos myself. And so I was like, well, what can I do? And so I looked it up, and it turns out that there are places that provide free reference photos that you can use for commercial use. Unsplashed is one of them, and then Pixabay or something like that. And so I found these and I was like, oh, this is perfect. So I'll just gather lots of reference images. I won't be able to control the photos themselves so much. So I'll just pick images that I think will be good of the female figure, and I'll do a similar project. And I'll also be able to start with very little investment other than the time investment. It does take some time. And once I have all of those images, I'll be able to do the same types of drawings over top to help people see gesture, help people see those things, but with regard to the female figure, which is what some of the people that have gotten the one on the male figure, they've asked about one for the female figure. And so that's what I'm doing, and it's what I'm working on right now. And I really encourage you guys to start something. If you can think of something that could be an asset or that is an asset or is something that you're working on, comment below, because I'd really be curious what types of assets, things that pay you money, could artists build, or it doesn't have to be related to art, just could people build in order to have just a little bit of income, little sources of income that pay you, instead of having all of these things that cost you money. Monthly subscriptions that cost us money, but if we can have a few things that just pay us a little bit each month, you know, that little bit goes a long way as those add up over time. If you're interested in drawing, I encourage you to get the first book. It's under $10, and it's an ebook that has all of these images. They're very helpful. It's kind of like an aha moment when you see something that just makes sense once you see that visual. There was an example is there's the way the nostrils come and kind of clamp onto the nose. That was something that I learned about, and I did a drawing in the ebook. And once you see it, then you can't unsee it. You know, you have that locked in, especially if something that's like an aha moment. I wanted it to be that experience where people see the curves or the gesture of the leg from the front view, and they're like, oh wow, that is accurate. That is what a leg looks like. And that gesture, you know, I can look for that now in projects that I'm working on, in drawings or in sculptures that I'm working on. So I do encourage you to get that. If you're interested in sculpture, the Proco Figure Sculpting Fundamentals course is available, and we're doing assignment video or a video lesson or demos or all of those things. Every week there's something new, and so I encourage you to get that. It's a great deal. It has more information than I learned getting my BFA in sculpture, and so it's really a great deal, and it's something that I worked hard on. Hopefully you guys will learn a lot from that as well. One thing that I want to go over with regards to what is an asset worth is something that I heard from the Banham brothers. They had a podcast, and they talked about the 1% rule, and that is that if there's an asset that you can purchase with your money that will pay you 1% of what you paid for it, so let's say you pay $100 and it pays you $1 per month, that is a good deal. So that's about a 12% return, and that's a good deal on assets. That's better than you can expect, you know, over the long term for like the US stock market. And so it's a really good deal on an asset. Let's say it costs you $1,000, it should pay you $10 a month. And so that might seem a little bit extreme, like I'm spending $1,000 but it's only giving me, you know, $10 a month. That seems a little bit weird. But that $10 a month, if it pays you that same $10 a month for 10 years, or 20 years or 30 years, that's way more than the $1,000 that you spent. And so it adds up over time. And that's why the 1% rule is something to keep in mind. And so if I built an online course that pays me around, let's just say it's $1,000 a month. So I put a lot of work into it, and then it's around $1,000 a month. That means to purchase an asset that would give me that same return, I'd probably have to spend $100,000. So ask yourself, is it worth, would you be willing to spend the time, the energy that it takes to create a nice asset, something that people are willing to purchase, whether it's an online course, an ebook, a workshop, or whatever it is? Are you willing to put in that time, that initial time, so that it can be something that pays you into the future? And that's something that I really believe in, and I think more artists need to be considering that. And so that's why I made this video. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about my next book. I'm excited about the figure sculpting course. After that, I'm going to do a portrait sculpting course. And so I'm just excited to keep building these assets, and then they kind of stack on top of each other. Because once I have, multiple ones, and then once I learn to market a little bit better and increase in my ability to sell these assets, then over time, those will really pay off big. And so that's what I want to encourage everyone that's watching this video to do. Take the time to investigate, learn about something, and make a product around that learning process, and consider it your assignment. If you do, I'd love to hear about it. You can find me on Instagram at Andrew Joseph Keith. If you like this video, please, like, share, subscribe. If you'd like to be on my email list so that you can be notified once this new ebook is out, just let me know on Instagram. Send me a message on Instagram with your email, and I'll just add you to my email list. Stay productive, stay creative. See you in the next one.